Today we're diving into the audiobook summary of Work the System, a powerful guide that shows how small changes in the way you run your days can completely transform your life. At first, it might seem like everything around you happens randomly, as if life is just a string of events you react to. But the truth is far more interesting. Even when you wake up without a plan, something is already shaping your day, hidden behind every action, whether it's your morning routine, the way you work, or how you wind down at night. There are invisible systems quietly running the show. Most of us never stop to notice them. We simply move from one task to another, thinking we're improvising. But in reality, every simple activity, from washing dishes to tackling a big project, follows a pattern. And the author, Sam Carpenter, reveals a powerful idea. Once you learn to see those patterns, you can take control of them. You can reshape the systems that guide your habits, your work, and your results. In this summary, we'll explore how understanding these everyday systems can help you live and work with far more clarity and ease. We'll see how getting intentional about your routines and procedures can prevent problems before they appear, and how a clear strategy can turn chaos into order. Whether you're growing a business or simply trying to make your days feel smoother and more meaningful, the ideas in this book can open the door to a life that feels more organized, more productive, and more in your control. So stay with me until the end. By the time we finish, you'll look at your life in a whole new way, and you might finally understand how to build the life you've always felt you deserved. A system of systems. As we move deeper into Work the System, the first big idea we explore is simple but incredibly powerful. Everything you want to achieve in life depends on the systems you build. A system is nothing more than a series of steps arranged in the right order to reach a particular goal. When those steps are clear and organized, life becomes easier, smoother, and far more effective. But if your systems fail to save time or improve the quality of your results, it's a sign that something needs to change. Sam Carpenter invites us to look at life as a collection of systems stacked inside one another. Even the smallest task, brewing a cup of tea, sending an email, or finishing a project, follows a process. And if you want anything to change, whether it's the speed of your results, the quality of your work, or your enjoyment of the journey, the place to start is always the system behind it. Systems aren't just there to help things run well, they also protect us from things going wrong. The moment you sense that a problem is approaching, you don't have to sit still and hope for the best. That's when you pause, examine the process, and revise the system so it stops the issue before it grows. A strong system acts like a safety net, catching problems while they're still small. To understand the true impact of systems, Sam shares his own story. Years ago, he bought a small telephone answering business called Centratel. He dreamed of turning it into the best company of its kind, but he had no idea what he was getting into. The business barely made money. The employees weren't organized, and there were no clear guidelines for how to talk to clients or follow procedures. At the same time, Sam had become a single father to 2 young children after a difficult divorce. He had no choice but to work harder than ever. His weeks stretched into a brutal 100 hours. He pushed himself so far that he would sometimes forget to rest, collapsing from exhaustion. Centratel's call volume kept growing, but the profits did not. Sam was struggling financially, emotionally, and physically. Then he discovered the work the system approach, and everything began to shift. He realized that the chaos wasn't caused by people, it was caused by broken systems. One of his first changes was surprisingly simple. He installed a strategy that allowed him to monitor how employees were using the internet. What he found was eye-opening. Many of them spent long hours browsing websites unrelated to work, using company time for entertainment, not productivity. Sam installed tracking software on every computer and quietly observed the results. At first, he didn't mention it to anyone. He knew that once people were aware of being monitored, the ones taking advantage of the system would naturally correct themselves. And that's exactly what happened. As soon as the employees learned their internet usage was being tracked, their behavior changed overnight. Sam didn't need to punish anyone. The system fixed the problem on its own. That small tracking tool was more than just a piece of software. It was a clear example of how the right system can transform a business by improving efficiency, reducing wasted time, and stopping problems before they grow. A good system doesn't just make work easier, it makes success possible. Execution and transformation. As we continue exploring Work the System, we reach one of the most transformative ideas in the book, the realization that a business is not a single, fragile structure that collapses the moment you touch one part of it. Yet many business owners think exactly that. They assume everything inside their company is so tightly connected that even a small change in one department will shake the entire organization. This fear keeps them stuck. They see a problem, they know something isn't working, but instead of making bold improvements, they choose to play it safe. Sam Carpenter learned that the real path to progress begins the moment you stop looking at your business as one big machine and start seeing it as a collection of smaller systems, each one separate, each one fixable. When you examine these systems individually, you can improve one process at a time without risking the entire company. You can refine a single procedure, replace a broken one, or remove something that simply doesn't serve a purpose anymore. When you work this way, progress stops feeling overwhelming and becomes incredibly practical. Sam discovered this the hard way. Centratel, his telephone answering company, was in serious trouble. Payday was approaching, and he didn't have enough money to pay his employees. He borrowed what he could, delayed a few salaries, and hoped he could keep things afloat, but he knew this wasn't sustainable. The business was spinning out of control, and something had to change. For weeks, Sam wrestled with anxiety. Every idea he had felt risky. What if he made the wrong move? What if changing one thing broke everything else? But then, one day, a clear realization hit him. Centratel wasn't a giant, complicated beast. It was a system made up of smaller subsystems. And if he could understand those individual parts, he could fix them. With that shift in mindset, Sam began rebuilding his company from the inside out. He started by defining a master system, a clear document that described Centratel's goals, purpose, and long-term vision. This became the guiding compass for every decision he and his team would make. Next, he created a detailed manual that explained exactly how employees should handle calls, communicate with clients, and deliver flawless service. Nothing was left to chance. Every step was written clearly so that anyone could follow it and achieve the same high-quality result. Then he went even deeper. He listed every single task performed in the business, no matter how small. He documented each process, each routine, and each responsibility so he could finally see what was actually happening behind the scenes. With these foundations in place, Sam shared the plan with his team. Together, they didn't attempt any dramatic overhaul. Instead, they made small, manageable improvements, one subsystem at a time. They tweaked simple tasks, refined basic procedures, and slowly strengthened the company from its core. And the results were incredible. Within just 6 months, the financial pressure began to lift. Revenue became steady, the chaos began to fade, and Centratel started transforming into the company Sam had always imagined. As the systems grew stronger, Sam no longer needed to work 100-hour weeks. The business finally began to run smoothly, without burning him out in the process. This experience taught Sam, and now teaches us, something essential. If you want to fix your business, or even your personal life, you have to let go of the fear of change. Stop viewing everything as one tangled structure. Break it into smaller parts, improve them one by one, and watch your entire world begin to shift. Because this approach isn't just for companies, it's a method you can use to improve yourself, your routines, your habits, and any area of life where you feel stuck. Your strategic objective and general operating principles. Now that we've learned to see a business as a network of smaller systems, the next step is figuring out how to bring all of those systems together in a clear and effective way. And this is where Work the System gives us one of its most practical lessons. If your company feels messy, chaotic, or constantly off track, the first thing you need isn't more effort, it's clarity. Sam Carpenter explains that every turnaround begins with defining what he calls the strategic objective. This is a single, carefully crafted page that captures the essence of your company, its purpose, its goals, and the direction it wants to move in. Writing this page takes time because it forces you to step back and look at your business from above, almost like you're watching it from a balcony. But once it's complete, it becomes your foundation. You don't need to rewrite it unless your business environment changes drastically. Until then, this page becomes your compass, the thing that keeps you from drifting off course. After setting this vision, the next step is creating your general operating principles. These are the guidelines that shape how everyone in the company behaves and makes decisions. They define the culture, the expectations, and the standards. It's where team members learn what good work looks like, how to interact with clients, how to solve problems, and how to stay aligned with the company's direction. This document often takes weeks to build because it captures every important rule that keeps the workplace running smoothly. But once it's ready, it becomes the backbone of your operations. Finally, there is the third step, documenting your working procedures. This is where you write down every system and subsystem your company uses. No task is too small to include. The beauty of this step is that it allows you to see each part of your business separately, without confusion, without assumptions. And when you can see a system clearly, you can improve it. You can update it, replace it, streamline it, whatever is needed to keep the whole company functioning at its best. For Sam, this 3-step process changed everything. At Centratel, he had been operating without a clear vision for years. He was reacting to problems instead of guiding the company forward. But once he sat down and wrote his strategic objective, something shifted. He realized that his true goal was to make Centratel the best telephone answering service in the United States. That single sentence gave the entire team direction. It showed them where they were heading and reminded them what mattered most. With that clarity in place, Sam began working on the company's general operating principles. He eventually created 30 rules, guidelines that matched their ultimate vision and shaped every decision that followed. He called them the 30 Principles, and from that point on, every choice, every adjustment, and every action inside Centratel was measured against those principles. It took him more than a month to get them right, but the effort was worth it. These principles became the DNA of the company, and soon Sam would move on to the next major step, designing the complete set of working procedures that defined how the company actually operated day by day. We'll explore that in the next chapter. For now, just remember this. If you want your business to run smoothly and consistently deliver high-quality results, you must start with clarity. A strong strategic objective, clear operating principles, and well-defined working procedures can transform chaos into confidence. They help you build a company that works not by accident, but by design. Your working procedures. In the previous chapter, we learned that a business isn't one giant, mysterious machine. It's a collection of many smaller systems, each doing its part to keep the company running. And once you embrace that idea, the next step becomes clear. You need to understand how each of those systems actually works. That's where working procedures come in. A written working procedure is like a map of your entire business. It lays out every system, big or small, in simple, clear language. When this document is finally complete, it gives you a level of clarity you may never have experienced before. You can see exactly how your company operates, where the bottlenecks are, and which systems add value and which ones slow everything down. With that understanding, you can refine what works, fix what doesn't, and remove anything that adds unnecessary chaos, and best of all, you can improve your operating systems without ever losing sight of your company's overall vision. To build an effective working procedure document, you need to capture the details of every system and subsystem in your business. That means documenting routines, recording solutions to recurring problems, and making sure every step is written in simple language so that anyone on your team, regardless of their experience, can solve issues without confusion. Sam Carpenter experienced the power of this firsthand at Centratel. One of the earliest working procedures he created was called the Deposit Handling Procedure. It was a written guide that explained exactly how employees should manage client payments every single day. Before Sam created this system, 3 different employees handled deposits, and each one had their own way of doing it. Their methods weren't wrong, but they weren't consistent, and that inconsistency led to mistakes. Wrong invoices sent to the wrong clients, incorrect deposits, and even misplaced funds. In one shocking incident, the company lost $3,000 simply because a manager left a deposit envelope under the seat of his car and forgot about it. After enough of these incidents, Sam realized the problem wasn't the people. It was the lack of a system. So he sat down with the 2 employees who handled the money and spoke with his managers to understand every detail. Together, they broke down the entire deposit process step by step. Sam then created clear rules that organized each action involved in checking funds and making deposits. The steps they documented were incredibly simple. Open the envelope, turn on the computer, launch the software, enter the data, visit the bank and verify the check, return to the office and issue a receipt. Nothing dramatic, just a clean, reliable sequence of actions that anyone could follow. Once the procedure was tested and refined, Sam introduced it to the team. They agreed to follow it exactly as written, but they were also told they had the freedom to suggest improvements any time they saw something that could be made better. When the system was first created, the deposit procedure had more than 50 steps. Over time, as Sam and his team continued to refine it, they trimmed it down to 20 simple rules, clear, predictable, and easy for every employee to carry out. And that's the beauty of working procedures. When you document every important process in your business, things stop feeling complicated. Systems become easier to manage, easier to improve, and far more effective. Bit by bit, you build a business that runs smoothly, not because you're constantly fixing things, but because the systems themselves are strong enough to create consistency and success. Errors of omission. Let me ask you something. If you were to write down the 5 biggest mistakes of your life, the ones you regret the most, what would be on that list? Take a moment and think honestly. Most people expect their regrets to be about things they did wrong, decisions they mishandled, or actions they shouldn't have taken. But when they actually look at their list, something surprising happens. They realize that their deepest regrets are not about the mistakes they made, but about the things they never did, the dreams they postponed, the opportunities they ignored, the steps they always meant to take but kept delaying until the moment passed. Sam Carpenter calls these errors of omission, and they're often far more painful than the mistakes of action. The real reason behind most of these omissions is simple: procrastination. We push things to tomorrow. Then tomorrow becomes next week, and soon we forget the very things that could have changed our lives. What we don't often admit is that postponing a task is a choice. Every time you say, "I'll do it later," you're choosing passivity over action. But the day you start making active choices, the day you decide to move instead of delay, you begin accomplishing more than you ever expected. Whether you're running a business or just trying to improve your personal life, awareness is the first step. You have to observe your daily actions and ask yourself, what is the one thing I need to do today? The thing I keep pushing to tomorrow? When you identify those actions and choose to take them now, you move closer to the success you've been searching for. Sometimes life gives us a wake-up call, a moment so stressful that it forces us to stop postponing and start acting. Sam experienced one of these moments during a 4th of July evening. He was at a friend's house with his wife when the power went out in the area where Centratel was located. Because Centratel was a telephone answering company, their service absolutely had to stay active at all times. Sam wasn't there to check the situation in person, but he trusted their backup generator. The outage was caused by a storm that had set a transformer on fire. The repair wasn't going to be quick, and Centratel's generator could supply only 3 hours of electricity. As the minutes passed, Sam became increasingly anxious. If the transformer wasn't fixed in time, the generator would die and the company's entire operation would crash. Fortunately, the power returned within 2 hours. Centratel was safe this time, but the incident shook Sam deeply. He believed every problem carries a message, a warning about something that needs attention. And this close call made him realize just how vulnerable the business really was. He asked himself a terrifying question. What if the power went out for an entire day? The thought alone was enough to spur him into action. Instead of postponing the solution, he made the decision to install a full on-site generator. It took time, it took money, and convincing the government to approve it was a challenge. But he stayed persistent, and eventually he got it done. If he had delayed that decision even a little longer, the next outage could have destroyed the company. But because he acted, Centratel was protected. This lesson applies to every part of life, not just business. Improvement demands action, and action requires courage. Don't let procrastination become the barrier between you and the person you want to be. Keep refining your systems, keep improving your habits, and refuse to let the fear of starting hold you back. Even one step taken today can save you from a lifetime of regret. Consistency and cold coffee. When you run a business, one of your greatest responsibilities is consistency. Your customers expect the same level of quality every single time they interact with you. If you deliver excellent service one day and a disappointing experience the next, people won't hesitate to walk away. And once trust is broken, even loyal customers may never return. That's why a strong, well-designed system is crucial. Without it, you end up relying on people's moods, energy, or luck. Imagine depending entirely on a manager to maintain quality. What happens if that manager is having a rough day or overlooks an important detail? One small slip can damage your reputation in ways that are hard to repair. But when every task is broken into clear, written steps, when a working procedure guides what to do and how to do it, consistency becomes automatic. Even on a bad day, even when someone feels distracted or tired, the quality stays high because the system carries the responsibility. The person simply follows the steps. To understand this better, let's step away from business for a moment and think about something most of us love: coffee. If you enjoy coffee, you know the pleasure of that warm, perfect, energizing first sip. And you also know the disappointment of receiving a cup that's cold, weak, or just plain terrible. Picture yourself walking into a cafe, expecting your usual strong brew, only to be handed a cup that tastes like flavored water. Your natural reaction would be frustration. You'd probably speak to the owner, ask for a replacement, or request a refund. And chances are you wouldn't return. Sam Carpenter had a similar experience years ago. Every morning on his way to the office, he treated himself to a cup of coffee. One day, running late, he stopped at a small kiosk instead of his usual shop. He placed his order, paid quickly, and hurried back to his car, eager for that first sip. But as he drove toward work and finally tasted the coffee, he was furious. It was cold, weak, and tasteless, nothing like what he expected. Annoyed, he pulled into his regular coffee shop and bought another cup. This time, the coffee was hot, bold, and perfectly made. He enjoyed every sip and silently vowed never to buy from that kiosk again. Years passed, and one day, an employee walked into Sam's office with a surprising update. The same kiosk he had sworn off was suddenly doing really well. Many of Centratel's employees were buying their morning coffee from there and praising the consistent quality. Something had changed. The kiosk owner had clearly figured out a process, a reliable system, to deliver great coffee every time. While other kiosks struggled or disappeared, this one survived and even built a loyal customer base. And it all came down to consistency. That's the power of systems. Whether you're running a multi-million-dollar company or a tiny street-side kiosk, success isn't built on chance. It's built on repeated excellence, doing the same thing well again and again until people trust you. And the only way to guarantee that level of consistency is through clear, reliable procedures that never depend on how someone happens to feel that day. Conclusion. As we reach the end of this journey through Work the System, there's one thought I want you to hold on to. Change doesn't require a complete revolution. Many people fear improvement because they imagine they'll have to tear everything down and rebuild from scratch. But Sam Carpenter's message is far more comforting and far more powerful. Sometimes a single, simple change made in the right place can shift the entire direction of your business and your life. Throughout this summary, we explored how the future of your organization is shaped not by grand gestures, but by small, intentional steps. We began by understanding what a system truly is and how life itself can be seen as the biggest system of all. Once you recognize that everything you do follows a process, it becomes easier to change the outcome by adjusting the steps. We also discovered that fear of change is often the real barrier holding us back. When you divide your work into smaller subsystems, improvement stops feeling overwhelming. You can look at each piece separately, adjust it, refine it, and bring it under your control, one small win at a time. We then walked through the importance of having a clear strategic objective, a guiding vision that keeps you aligned with your purpose, no matter how busy or chaotic things get. With that foundation in place, we moved into the creation of general operating principles, the habits and standards that shape everyday decisions and build consistency across your entire organization. And finally, we explored the heart of Sam's method, writing detailed working procedures. These are the step-by-step guides that make your operations predictable, repeatable, and strong. They turn chaos into order and allow every task, from the simplest to the most complex, to be executed with confidence and quality. When you bring all of this into real life, something remarkable begins to happen. The idea of improving your business no longer feels intimidating. You start noticing small opportunities for change that were always there, and you realize you have far more control than you once believed. With strong systems in place, your organization becomes more efficient, more reliable, and capable of delivering high-quality work again and again. And that's the essence of working the system. It's about creating a world where success isn't accidental. It's engineered. It's designed. It's built on purpose. So as you move forward, remember this. You don't need massive transformations to see massive results. Start small. Stay consistent. Strengthen one system at a time. And soon, you'll find yourself running not just a better business, but a better life. Thank you for listening to this audiobook summary. I hope these ideas encourage you to look at your work, your habits, and your life with a fresh perspective, one where small systems create big change. If this summary brought you value or sparked a new insight, I'd love to hear from you. Share your thoughts or any improvements you plan to make in the comments below. Your reflections might inspire someone else who's also trying to build a smoother, more intentional life. And if you know someone, a friend, a colleague, or a fellow entrepreneur who could benefit from these concepts, feel free to share this video with them. Every like, comment, and share helps this content reach more people who enjoy learning and growing through books. Thank you again for being a part of Audiobook 101. Keep refining your systems, keep taking action, and I'll see you in the next summary.